On tonight's House of Tiny Tearaways. Plans for the future.
As if you read my mind. It's a beautiful thing.
New bonds are sealed.
1, 2, 3.
And our biggest family ever are on their way in.
I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little scared at this point.
It's the all-new House of Tiny Tearaways. The Morgans, the Burns and the Morwoods have all been on an emotional journey, and it's almost time for them to go. The Tearaways are behaving like angels, but are the parents ready to leave?
What?
When relationships are at breaking point,
I love my little girl so much, and sometimes I really hate her dad.
young families are on the edge.
Mum, I'm not getting pushed around no more!
And the kids are out of control.
Stop fighting! Stupid.
This is where they come, the House of Tiny Tearaways. Two of the country's leading child psychologists, Laverne Antrobus and Elizabeth Kilby, are on hand to provide intensive therapy. They will observe how these young parents operate and then intervene to help them turn their lives around.
I just can't cope with it.
All the parents coming into the house over this month-long TV event are hoping that Laverne and Elizabeth can make a real difference to their lives. But whether they can remains to be seen.
You naughty, naughty daddy.
23-year-old Hannah and 29-year-old Mark are desperate to tame their two sets of tearaway twins. 5-year-olds William and Daniel and 3-year-olds Thomas and Jacob. When they first arrived, this couple had no disciplined strategies in place, and youngest twin Jacob was particularly out of control. On their first day, Hannah and Mark were taught the art of time out, and it was like they became Jedi Masters. This newfound control had a magical effect on the kids, including Jacob, the child formerly known as 666 to his mum.
Jacob, he was a surprise package there, really was.
But as they're nearing the end of their time in the house, Hannah is still struggling to spread affection equally between all of her boys.
Go downstairs.
22-year-old Melissa and 25-year-old Gareth are in the house to stop 3-year-old Sky and 4-year-old Lennon's violent behaviour. Since they arrived, both parents have been making a huge effort to play with their kids, and the effects have been amazing. So last night, the focus was purely on this couple's relationship. With a bit more work, it looks like love could be back in the air for these two. 26-year-old Stacey and 25-year-old Paul came searching for guidance on how to handle 2-year-old Leisha and 3-year-old Maddox, and to find a way for Paul and stepson Morgan to bond. Having been bullied in her past, Stacey was struggling to discipline the toddlers. But when she eventually found her assertive side,
put it down now. Thank you.
Paul's insecurities raised their ugly head. He's already made some good headway with Morgan, but Laverne feels that before they go home, she wants to try and iron out some of Paul's issues.
What's your fear?
Scared of breaking up with Stacey.
Oh, Jacob's at it. He never dropped his
It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The Morwoods and the Burns are in the living room, where the twins are providing the entertainment.
Is Thomas all daddy? Because he seems like he's always sat on your knee, innit? Your Teddy's gonna rip in pieces.
Thank
There, guys, this was
Brilliant.
Right, this
Laverne is convinced there's still a link between Paul's growing insecurity and Stacey's growing assertiveness. So before this couple can leave, she wants Paul to watch some footage to try and make him see the connection for himself.
Put it down now. Thank you. And then into your bed to go to sleep. All night.
All night.
Being daft.
I'm going to be with you forever.
Hmm?
You're being daft, I'm going to be with you forever.
Are you happy with the settle?
Of course I am.
Because to me, it feels like this is going to break us up. I don't know why.
Stacey came into the house saying that at times she felt invisible, that she didn't have confidence to discipline the children. So we did a little exercise where she had to think about how she projects her voice, how she can really ensure that she gets heard. Okay? And she did it. You know, we got there in the end.
Yeah.
And I said to her, right, okay, as of now, I need to hear that voice. And she was straight upstairs, you know, and she was like, we're going to bed now, and I want this to happen, da da da. I had expected you to say, God, well done, or you did that quite well, or can we get them off to bed quickly? Instead, you sort of had a dip in your confidence. So we suddenly had Stacey, you know, working at maximum confidence level, and you, suddenly your confidence went. So gradually, you know, she's sinking as well. And then you're both back into that,
Yeah.
you know, conversation that I know you have, where you both
Yeah.
try and do this over reassuring of each other that actually things are going to be all right and you're going to survive and neither are you going to leave. And when you're doing that, what's going through your mind?
That she's not happy with me. And that we're not going to be together.
But you have been together for a long time now.
Well, we've been a couple, what I would call a couple, that get on together for about 2 years. The first
Right.
3 or 4 years was just me changing, really, or trying to change.
Okay. What stops you from looking from that point onwards?
I do think a lot about the way I treated her
At the beginning?
at the beginning. Yeah.
So there's some guilt here.
Yeah.
Okay. What did you do?
Lied to her about money and things like that, and just put a lot before her. I put my mates drinking.
So you didn't turn up to see her? What does that mean? Because
There was a couple of times when I went out with my mates when I had arranged to go out with her, and
right, okay.
just a lot of lying, really. About everything, really.
About the sort of person that you were?
Yeah. I had a temper. I was aggressive. So I put her through rubbish, really. I don't know why she stayed with me.
Okay, I was just about to say, so I bet you're wondering why she's still
and
with you.
I've never got rid of that.
Right,
Why is she with me?
right. So perhaps we're not talking about so much vulnerability as a lot of guilt.
I do reflect a lot. I can be driving along at work, driving to a job or something, and suddenly I'll start thinking about all the stupid things I've done and the nasty things I've done to her.
Right. Okay, so there's some nasty bits as well that you can... I mean, you've used that word.
Yeah, I don't mean violence, but I did treat her like rubbish.
So that is connecting for me with you knowing that Stacey had quite a difficult past, both within her family context but also at school.
Well, that's what makes it even worse, because I didn't know that for
You didn't know that.
the first,
Right.
well, maybe the first year, 18 months, because I was a lot like some of her family were at the time, or had been in the past. But I didn't know how bad it was for, well, probably at least 18 months.
Right. So you'd come into Stacey's life and pretty much replicated some of the experiences that she'd had. Then found out that's what you'd been doing, and then what? Still struggled, by the sound of it, to change.
I started to change, but it was really difficult. It's taken me 2 or 3 years to get to where I am.
So but you made the decision to try and change. But you recognise that that's been quite hard for you.
It's been really difficult, yeah.
And now, are you worried about becoming that person again?
No, I'm not worried about becoming the person again, no, because I don't think I will.
No.
I've worked so hard to change myself. And I didn't just do it for Stacey. I was just like my dad, and I didn't want to be like my dad.
Okay.
So I've done it for myself as well. So I don't think I'll ever go backwards. But it's been really slow steps going forward.
What's the worry then? What's the worry about? If you're a different person now with Stacey, why is there always this nagging doubt that she's going to leave you?
Well, a lot of it is the guilt about what I put her through. I don't know. I think she's just going to wake up and smell the roses and think, God, he's treated me really bad.
Okay. Well, the Stacey that I've seen, I think, wakes up and thinks, I've got a fantastic bloke. Because I think, you know, I keep hearing her tell you how much she loves you, how much she appreciates you. And it's like she's talking to a brick wall. You know, Stacey needs to leave here feeling some confidence and feeling that she's leaving as a slightly more put together mum, you know?
Yeah.
But actually she can only do that if she's got you there, right behind her, backing her up. And at the moment, I'm worried that your lack of confidence, but probably more your guilt, is really getting in the way of sort of helping her stay in that place. You've got to try and move into the here and now, which is that I hear her saying so much, how much she wants to be with you. And actually some of that's got to start seeping in.
Yeah.
You've got to hold on to it a little bit more, because if you keep letting it just sort of filter through, she's going to stop saying it. And then you are going to be in a really tricky place, aren't you? Because then the communication will break down completely. I actually don't think that will happen, because I don't think Stacey will give up on you. But it's whether or not you're going to give up on yourself.
Laverne asked Stacey to join them so that she can bring her up to speed.
I'm talking to Paul about your relationship and how you had both described to me the way in which you try and reassure each other. And I had seen some of that happening on that evening, and I've just shown Paul and talked about how I really want to feel that you leave the house as a couple, arm in arm, who can support each other and really recognise the good things that you contribute to the relationship, to family life, and as parents. And I'm going to hand over to Paul now, because he is going to hopefully say a few things to you about what he does feel.
Well, I think you've done really well. It has worked, and I think you are going to stick at it, and I want to support you, and I'm proud of you as well. But now I've seen that on the telly, I've got to do something about it, and so that we can be even happier.
You know, the message is quite obvious that the more stable you two can be, the more that will transmit itself to the kids, and the kids will feel much more secure. Okay. I'm going to leave you now. Actually, I think this is about your moment.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Did it upset you?
I feel bad, because you were really trying on that evening, and...
Are you trying what?
Well, telling Neely that she was going to go to bed and you wanted her to stay in her bed all night. And after you'd done it, and it was supposed to be our time together to enjoy a bit of making progress, I brought it all back down.
Maybe okay. We're always okay. We're good.
I'm proud of you, honey.
I'm proud of you, baby.
I think you're going to be a brilliant one.
I love you, baby.
I love you too, hon.
You wanted to follow up with the Morgans, didn't you? How did you find that consultation, especially the one where you were just chatting to Paul?
Well, I felt there was a bit of unfinished business with Paul. I mean, the final consultation I had with him and Stacey left me feeling that there was something that we just hadn't really explored. And Paul's very clear, and he says, you know, I've got this problem, but actually I felt that it was getting to the point where it was going to drag Stacey down. Actually, she's done a lot of work, and it's been very difficult for her to sort of assume her authority, use her voice in the way that, you know, lets the children know that she wants them to do something. She's terrified they're going to go against her and say they hate her. So she's worked very, very hard. And I really thought that Paul would be able to sort of support her, say how well she'd done, and it didn't have that effect. It sort of made him withdraw into himself. And I felt I had to challenge him and say, look, you're either with Stacey or you're not. And getting them together and getting him to say a couple of things to her about how proud he was of her and that actually he was going to support her made me feel that actually they're leaving the house in a better state.
Are you okay with Morgan, with the 9-year-old going home? How do you feel about him? To me, he still feels a bit burdened, or do you think he'll just throw that off but it'll take time?
I think he still feels quite fragile, actually, and I do have some worries, but not enough to make me think that they're not ready to go. Because actually I think Stacey and Paul are very aware of what Morgan needs, but they need to find a way to really, I don't know, bring him back in, and I think they'll be able to do it.
Having made such progress with the twins, it's almost time for Hannah and Mark to go home. So Laverne's called them in for one last consultation. When this young couple first arrived, their kids ran riot around the house and proved to be the ultimate tiny tearaways.
Tough.
But after just 3 days, Laverne has been amazed at their turnaround.
Let's have a look at one of our consultations. If you had to put some words to, you know, describe them, if we start at the top. Okay.
William's the boss. Whenever they're together, he's in charge of them all. He's the boss.
Daniel.
Conniving, if
Daniel's
that's the right
very,
word.
yeah, he can...
Twisting.
Yeah, he can do something. If you haven't seen him do it, he can talk his way out of it. Thomas is very laid back. He can have his moments, but you'll only see it in short bursts.
Right. Jacob.
Jacob, Mark.
Jacob, right. I don't know if I should be saying this, but Psycho springs to mind.
666.
666, crazy. That was interesting.
Isn't it just?
Psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
It don't seem like that now.
No.
Doesn't, so seems totally different.
It was an eye-opener, I think, probably for us all.
It was, yeah.
In terms of
It's
how...
that stereotyping them.
The labels.
Yeah, labelling them.
If you label them,
That's what they're going to be like.
that's what they'll become.
Yeah.
I can see it. I can see the boisterousness. I can see the aggression. I can see what they do.
Yeah.
But that's part of what they do. And I think that you've rather beautifully been able to take that in and turn it on its head slightly. Let's look at how you two began to take some control.
Still going in? No, because you had to be told.
William.
No! You can't pick... You'll learn when you've been in here for a minute.
William.
In. 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 I'm ignoring you, not even looking at you. No.
Okay, that for me was a real, think about a road, that was a real turning point because you two really embraced this technique.
Yeah, I think it worked. It was a good technique, I found out anyway. And if you stick with it, just get used to what you're doing. It seemed to be working. The more you ignore them, the more it seemed to gain its power, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Got
It
more
did seem
powerful.
to give us a bit more control because at least you knew then that they, instead of them running around and kicking and screaming, you got them in one area that you were then able to control to keep them in there. There's more chance of them sitting there and actually listening or thinking about, why they're in there. I mean, I don't know. I felt more in control with that, using that.
I mean, one of the things that even this morning, and as we've been watching, I think there's still a bit of you, particularly you, Hannah, that really quite drawn to Thomas and noticing him. I think you have a more sort of comfortable position with Thomas where there's a bit more of an understanding between the two of you.
Yeah.
And I think that then leads to a lot more generosity from you towards him. And we need to mark it, really. And we need to mark it as a point before you leave the house, because actually, if it's as obvious as it is when I'm watching it, then it's obvious to the other boys as well. And what I know about children and their behaviour is that if they feel that somebody's getting the lion's share, then they will need to behave in a way to make sure they can draw some of that attention away. And in a way, we've got to sort of level the playing field out. And I think you've done it very, very well. And I think as a result, your boys have calmed down slightly, haven't they?
Yeah, I can see that,
Let's have a look at the next clip.
3, 2,
go, Thomas,
1,
go.
Go! Come on,
William.
Tom! Go
Thomas,
on!
William.
Quick!
Go on,
On. Well done, do that.
Shout, come on, Jacob, shout.
Whoa! Come on! Right, over there, go on, right. Oh, okay, you little sporters, aren't you? Right, you've got to go round these. Round them, over there. Oh, look at you, Thomas, go on faster. Oh, you're a fast runner. Round that one now. Round that one. Well done.
That was lovely. I mean, I think you've been on an amazing journey. I think that in many ways it's been much quicker than I could ever have thought of when I think about, you know, some of the early footage that I've seen and where your boys are now. But what are the messages or the thoughts that you're taking away in terms of how you're going to sustain some of this?
Hopefully it will just carry on, you know, getting even better, really. Calming them down, which I will then calm down. So, yeah, I'm quite optimistic, quite raring to go.
And Mark?
Mine were basically the same as that. I'm keen to see what they're going to be like at home.
I think that you've got to almost be on it straight away, because I just heard you say, I'm keen to see what they're going to be like. Don't give them a chance to be like anything.
Just carry on.
Actually, it's about you going in there, striding back into your house, knowing that you're different people, and that actually you're going to be in control from the minute you cross that threshold. So I wish you lots of luck.
Thank you.
I think it's going to be absolutely fine, because I think that you are two very thoughtful individuals who want this to work.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you'll make it work.
Yeah.
Oh, good lad.
Before she heads home, Hannah is proving just how far she's come by sharing her affection equally between all of her sons.
Good boy, Dan. Dan? Yeah? What's next in the agenda? What do you have to do next? Thank you. Oh. Can you what? You all right?
And what better way to make everyone feel loved than to give them all a treat?
Jacob, Jake.
Yeah, another one. Can we have one with the purple? Yes. Can we have the purple one as well? Sweeties.
Me around. If I was worried about something, the secret is to say what's worrying you, then your monster will go away.
Give me back.
Would you back?
Yeah.
Can you say, tissue?
And even Jacob, the one formerly known as Devil Child to his mum, gets his turn.
I like Jacob cuddles, they're nice.
I am.
Let's talk about the Morwoods. They came in with these 4 boisterous, very, I would call them tearaways. How are they leaving today, and how do you think they're going to do?
As you're right, they came in with very difficult children, and this was a mum who talked about her stress and a dad who was quite sort of passive, really, in many ways. And it feels to me that they are leaving as a really strong and united family who've really sort of come together and actually come on leaps and bounds in the time they've been here.
Funny lines. Did it tickle like you go like that? Did it tickle when you go like that?
Laverne has decided that before she sends the Morgan family home, she wants to see Stacey and Paul make 9-year-old Morgan feel central to their family.
Oh, I don't smell that big.
She feels that Paul in particular needs to cement the bond with his stepson, so she's given them a kite-making kit.
Right, we've got our job to do, and Daddy and Morgan have got their job to do, okay? So we have to draw a picture.
Yeah.
I'll get all of our stuff out.
Paulie,
Right, what we got to do then,
here's we got to construct this kite.
Alrighty.
Who am I going to draw first?
Me.
You, with your hat.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Maddie, do you want to colour yourself in with the blue?
All right. I want to tell you.
Right, shall I draw you here?
It's pretty cool so far, isn't it?
So,
Bird.
Lily, you're going to colour in the grass with that green.
Well, do you reckon that's right or not?
Yeah, I think that's about right.
How do you reckon we're going to get on?
A bit strained because we don't know how to fly it yet, but I think we'll get the hang of it, won't we?
Don't it depend on wind?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unwind most of the flying line, check that both lines are equal in length.
I should have left that sellotape on there until we actually do it, shouldn't I?
Yeah. Ah well, you're only human.
Look at the size of that sun. Daddy's going to have orange trousers.
You're doing very well, boys and girls.
Ow. No, it's only flying the kite now.
We gotta wait until we're called to fly the kite.
But why can't we stay in here?
We can't stay in here and fly a kite, can we, you numpty?
It's
not enough
We'll get
room.
electric shock.
Oi.
Yes,
Oi.
we're curling.
Oi. Ow.
And it looks like Gel City up there.
When Gareth first came into the house, his approach to playtime with Lennon and Skye was more godfather than good father.
Annie, knuckle duster.
But on his last day, things couldn't be more different.
I bet you can get them novels out.
I can. Oh, Skye.
I got one out.
No, don't. Let's get it out.
These ones out.
You want two others on, Skye? Right, that other one. Other side. This side. I've already put one on. It's got a match. No.
That's some of me.
It's dick for girls, mate. You can have one on.
No.
All right, I'll put two on you then.
No, it's a girl.
Cool.
Dad.
After their kite making, Paul and Morgan still seemed to be enjoying some bonding.
Paulie?
Yeah?
Is that the thing to do?
No.
Don't do it then.
Okay. Sorry, Mum. Sorry, Mummy.
Stacey's stern words have had little effect, so if you can't beat them, join them.
No! No!
Yes!
Oh!
Yes!
Off me head.
Did you get it, though? Yes!
In the middle? Shall we attack the middle?
The Morwood family are all packed up, and before they say their final goodbyes, they're making their mark on the house of tiny tearaways. When Hannah and Mark came in with their two sets of troublesome twins, they had an endless list of problems.
They're fighting for attention constantly, you know, using the violence and the behaviour to get the attention that they're wanting from us. I've never ever seen 3- and 5-year-olds with so much aggression.
Neither parent could find a good word to say about their children.
William is the boss, the ringleader. Daniel's very whingy. Thomas follows William around like a little lost sheep. Jacob, Jekyll and Hyde, uncontrollable.
On their first day in the house, the boys ran rings around Mum and Dad.
Lay down!
And Mum Hannah had real problems controlling her stress.
Fly!
On top of that, she struggled to spread her affections equally across all 4 boys. The crucial point came when Elizabeth made them think about the labels they were attaching to their kids.
Psycho springs to mind.
666.
666, crazy.
What I was hoping to get was to help you begin to think about the children in a different way.
After that, Hannah quickly shifted her attitude. With a much calmer manner, she set about spreading her affections across all 4 boys.
I can't find this now.
Have you just trumped on my knee?
Yeah!
Oh, thank.
And once they were taught some new discipline techniques, both parents relished the new control they had over their boisterous boys.
Oh, don't let yourselves out.
High five.
High five, Jacob.
You brave lion, you good boy.
What I learnt mainly about myself, quite surprised about myself, is how stressed I actually am. It really opened my eyes to it.
No running. Walk in.
Most important thing to remember, stay calm.
Yeah, calmness. Keep it calm and follow everything what we've picked up.
Come on, Jay.
Mummy!
Come in.
Ooh, good lad.
The house is slowly emptying out. The Morwoods have gone and the Burns and the Morgans are almost ready to head home. But the forecast is not too good for Elizabeth and Laverne as a tornado is about to hit the house. The biggest family we've ever had are making their way in.
That is a lot of children.
It's mid-afternoon and Melissa and Gareth are doing a bit of textbook perfect playing with their previously tricky toddlers.
Turn one over, and then when you finish, turn it back if it's not the right one. Right, go on.
Outside in the garden, Paul and Morgan are about to give the kite they made together its test flight.
Right, what you've got to do is... Right, we'll keep it taut like that, right? As I let go, you've got to sort of...
Yank.
Take 2 steps back while you pull the cords down. But you've got to pull them down and back, all right?
It's diagonal back.
Right,
so,
you ready? I'll go on 3, all right?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
That didn't go well. You want to try launching it and I'll hold it?
Thank you.
You've got to pull them down. You went outwards with them. You've got to pull them down.
I know I'll do it.
Oh, yeah. Out there.
So should we have another go?
Let's go in.
You've got to keep those ropes taut more.
Tight.
That's it.
Do you want to go up there with him?
Yeah.
1.
Hang on.
We've got no wind at the moment.
Come in. You can come on.
You've got to keep those tight, all right?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, go.
She won't go in.
He said it's gone again.
Oh, sorry.
Go. 1, 2, 3. No, you.
Twice more we're going to try.
Yeah, let's start from over there and do the running. All the way over there. And just run with it. Run around the garden with it. 1, 2, 3. No.
Well, we got... Amazing.
It's quite good. Well, it's going, it's going.
Hang
Ready?
on, I'm upside down.
After a successful day in the house, it's nearly time for Gareth and Melissa to go home. Elizabeth wants to talk through the changes they've made in a final consultation.
So how are you feeling at the moment?
It's been a good day today, like, on it with kids and that. They've not, like, done anything, seemed out calm.
Why do you think they're calm?
Probably because me and her are all right, like, calm as well.
So let's start.
Free sky.
I think, Melissa, you've given us a little bit of more of a window into sometimes how difficult it can be for you to play.
I try not to get too involved because I never do it.
I've never seen one of them. I'll try one. I've heard of a Tommy gun.
So what do you think, seeing that now at the end of the week?
We're pretty close together as a couple and a family. Then when we first come in, it was just like basically like Gaz on his own with the kids.
Right. Because I know you've seen that clip before, and I think we need to look at it at 2 levels. One is what you're saying, Melissa, about actually how it looks, but it's just Gaz on his own. And as we've gone through the week, that isn't what we've seen. I've seen much more of a family working together. But the second layer is the kind of, you know, the content of the play and what that play was about, and it was quite aggressive. And where do you think you've got to now with your play?
Just like kind of nice play.
Yeah.
Has that made a difference?
I don't know whether that has any effect, to be honest. I'm still like...
You're still not sure? The jury's still out. Once we showed you that clip, interestingly, you haven't done any more of that with them. You've found other ways to play. And they have been calmer and they have been more imaginative and creative.
Yeah.
So I guess if that's something that comes out of it, then that's got to be a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's have a look at some more.
Day doesn't go by where I just don't think about this wedding. My dress is actually up my mum's, and when I go up my mum's, I just can't stop going in the bedroom looking at my dress, thinking like I could have wore this on September.
What's your reaction to seeing that?
Nothing like that. Didn't already know, probably, like, It's nothing we haven't like discussed really anyway, is it, you know? So
one of the first things that I really got into with you was discussing about the wedding and seeing the impact. And I said to you guys quite openly that, there was this kind of Ismail being punished element going on here. And I wondered, Mel, if that's what it felt like to you.
Yeah, it did to me, yeah.
Yeah. And I was able to talk to Gaz about the fact that he, you know, he was saying actually in the run-up to planning the wedding, he felt that you were getting quite stressed.
Yeah.
And actually the planning of the wedding was making things even more difficult. So part of calling the wedding off was not about punishing you, but was actually trying to relieve some stress. But I can still see that this is a really painful topic for you.
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to be next week.
Oh, no.
Next Saturday. So...
And it's still really hard.
Yeah.
This, for me, was the point at which where I felt like I'd got a sense of Mel more, but I didn't really know you, Gaz. How, you know, when you first met with me, how did you feel about me kind of pushing you about the wedding issue and about how it was all going?
He was pecking on me, really, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a fair point, really. Yeah. And I felt I got a more balanced picture and more of a sense of who you are as a person and a bit more a sense of your relationship. Because I felt actually at times you were quite apart. And that's certainly what we saw in that first clip. So that's what we focused on next, and let's have a look at how that went.
What do you need an egg timer for?
For every half hour, me and Mel have got to show each other some emotion.
Time to get out.
Thanks for this dinner, Mel. Love you.
Love you.
So what is that like to see?
Oh, it's a bit lovey-dovey, like, feeling a bit soft, like...
Come on, Gaz.
I felt better as well.
You felt better, you two having more contact with each other. It was so amazing, actually, to see how, for me, the difference it has made to you as a couple, but also, Mel, to your mood and how you feel and your confidence. And how do you feel as a couple now after having spent a day really thinking about each other?
Better, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot better.
Let's see what we've got next.
You never get me! Come and get me,
I mean, honestly, it's amazing to watch.
Yeah.
You were like a child magnet. I mean, they just could not get enough of your play. That woman is the same woman that said to me, I can't possibly take my 2 kids to the supermarket, and actually cried at the thought of having to take 2 children out by herself. And you entertained an entire house full of children. And to hear you laugh, I think more of that, I think will make the world of difference to how you feel yourself and how the children are with you and some of the stress that gets stuck in your relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah? One other thing, something that Gareth and I touched on was, and this was a hunch that I had that I raised with Gareth that he was able to confirm with me, is sometimes, Mel, that you get quite jealous of Gareth going out and doing stuff, having time away from you and the kids. So what do you do when you're feeling like that?
Just keep it all in.
You keep it all in?
Yeah.
Would you be able to, when you're aware that that's how you're feeling, try and put into words to Gareth, I am feeling jealous, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling cross about, even if it's really irrational. And I think if you could say to Gareth how you're feeling about something, he would be able to help you talk it through. And this is what I want you to show to your children. And I think if they see you working together, the power of that is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah? Fantastic, thank you so much. Let's go and see how the children go.
After 5 days in the house, the Morgan family have shown Elizabeth and Laverne that they're ready to go home.
Daddy's doing it.
When they arrived, this family was divided. Stacey and Paul couldn't agree on how to discipline their aggressive kids, Maddox and Leisha.
Do you feel in control at all?
No, I'm too soft.
I do feel that I've got some control over them, but that does involve shouting at them.
And Morgan, Stacey's son from a previous relationship, was feeling sidelined in this troubled family.
Is anybody going to play with me?
Let's start with Maddie.
You know, he does hit me quite a bit and it still doesn't seem affectionate to me.
As if that wasn't enough, Paul's insecurities were putting their relationship at risk.
What's your fear?
Scared of breaking up with Stacey.
And his lack of bond with Morgan was making wife Stacey feel caught in the middle.
I'm worried that your lack of confidence is really getting in the way of sort of helping her.
He immediately made more of an effort with Morgan and started to help Stacey build up her confidence with the kids.
I'm proud of you,
With the adults back on track, they now feel more capable of disciplining their children.
The telly goes off, it's time for bed.
Fantastic.
Sit down now. Thank you.
And Morgan is finally at the centre of the action.
It was difficult.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I find in the house that I got a lot of more hang-ups than I thought I did, and I do think now though that Paul's going to feel more secure in the relationship because other people can see that we're solid and that I'm not going anywhere, so hopefully he'll believe it.
Really, do you want to hold Morgan's hand as well? My best moment in the house was the painting, because all the kids loved that and we had a right laugh doing that. And they all piled on me and plastered me in paint, which they all loved.
Including me.
With the Burns family almost ready to leave the house, it's time to start thinking of where they go from here.
Right.
Elizabeth has arranged an activity in the garden for Mel and a rather chilly-looking Gareth. It will help them get perspective on their past and present, as well as encouraging them to look to the future. But will it include wedding bells?
So let's start with when you met.
Yep.
So can you remember, Melissa, when you met?
That's bad, there.
Go on, Gareth. Tell me what you told her about where you met.
In a pub, weren't we? And
What happened next in your relationship? I mean, how long were you together before any other sort of significant events happened?
About a year or so after that, I got caught with Lennon.
So did you move in together before Lennon was born or after?
before.
Before,
right,
yeah.
OK. So then we have you two moving in together, and then shortly after...
Lennon was born.
Lennon was born. OK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Sky.
Yeah.
OK. At what point did you talk about getting married? Before or after Sky?
Yeah, we got
Before
engaged.
Lennon, yeah.
When did you get engaged?
Before Lennon.
Before Lennon, I've missed one.
Yeah.
Right. So before Lennon, this is when you get engaged.
Yep.
And how did you propose, Gareth? Tell me about that.
I was baby.
Or Melissa could tell me if
Yeah,
it
go on,
if
you tell it.
It was actually babysitting for Gazzy's cousin. And I was actually, I miscarried then.
Oh.
And then he come in, because I was on the couch poorly, and he come in and sat at the side of the couch and proposed.
Is that,
And that's right.
is that how you remember it, Gareth?
I did get down on one knee.
Yeah, he got down on one knee,
Oh.
and he did ask me. And then that's when I said yeah.
Oh, lovely. And then Lennon.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then after that,
Sky.
Sky.
Yep.
Let's put, oh, hang on, we'll put Sky in here. Okay, which brings us to sort of present time, and I'm going to write in here, house, because I think that's one of the most, you know, if I think about where you are now, coming to the house I think has been really significant for both of you, okay? And kind of give me an idea of what else is going on in your life, kind of significant things that you think are around at the moment.
Kids starting school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've just started taking over your dad's business.
I've took a bit more commitment at work, yeah.
And how are you feeling about that, Mel?
I was a bit shocked at first, but because I've come into the house, I seem to maybe like come round more of him taking over the business and me spending time with the kids.
So this is your kind of history, this is what's going on for you now, but I want to hear from both of you what some of your hopes and dreams are for the future. They can be as a couple, they can be individually.
That we're going to do more things together as a family and spend more time together.
Spend more time together.
Yeah.
Gareth?
I suppose like we're going to get married at some point, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As if you read my mind. It's a beautiful thing. I cannot tell you how pleased I am that you said that. Okay. So help me out here. If this is the kind of sort of future, where do you see being? Okay.
Only joking.
Okay. Well, here we go. Come on, help me.
Go on. Where do you think?
In the middle.
I love that. Here we go. I think you guys have been on an amazing journey, not just since you've been in the house, but actually right from when you first met back then in a pub, when Gaz caught sight of you across the bar, I thought, lovely, up to moving in, having the children, to all the stuff that you've got going on now in your lives, but such brightness for your future. And I would really love for you to go away from the house thinking about all the things that you as a family can look forward to.
Yeah.
Yay?
How did you find Gaz today? I mean, there was an almost proposal, wasn't there? It was a sort of, he feels like a different man to me.
Claudia, I love your optimism. I mean, I think Gaz has really moved a huge amount. And it took me a while to begin to hear his story and begin to get to know him. So when we went outside and did the activity about their future hopes and wishes, you know, I couldn't help but to have this secret hope that one of them would mention the wedding, and I assumed that it would be Mel. So when Gareth said, I know that we'll get married at some point in the future, a little cheer inside. It was fantastic. I was so pleased.
Yeah, because maybe my dream of them both getting fully dressed and a priest arriving was putting too much pressure on it. But it's just nice, the idea that he's brought it up and she thinks, oh, OK, that actually will happen. We can all relax, get on better, and at one point we will get married.
It's time for the Burns to leave the house, and what a family they've been. When they arrived 5 days ago, this family were unhappy and divided. Gareth had called off their wedding, claiming that Lennon and Skye's outrageous behaviour was just too much to handle. When they came into the house, they gave Elizabeth and Laverne a glimpse of how things were.
Do you want to try my knuckle duster?
Yeah. Baba!
That's a cracker, that.
Then told them how they thought things should be.
What sort of picture did you have?
Something like out of the Waltons or something.
But Laverne quickly whipped him into shape, and in no time he'd gone from Dirty Harry to Papa Walton. He even discovered a philosophical side.
What is love? I mean, it's weird. Is it just a feeling of that you like somebody so much? Or what, you can't describe it, can you really?
Melissa also had a huge turnaround. After Elizabeth made her spend more time playing alone with the kids, she became a child magnet and could even take on the Morwood twins. With the kids sorted, the spotlight was on their relationship. And Elizabeth soon discovered Gareth's real reason for cancelling the wedding.
So I don't think that you can have a stable relationship when your partner has got depression. To me, the wedding itself made it worse.
Elizabeth set about putting this couple back on track. And in the past 24 hours, they've been inseparable. As they leave the house, there's one more goodbye to say, as Lennon lets go of this bottle for good.
So what I want to do is I want to send the bottle up to the bottle fairies in the sky, and we can wave bye-bye. 3, 2, 1, go! Bye!
Bye! Your bottle, you were all right.
Up to the bottle fairies.
Bye!
It's gone.
Absolutely great.
Yeah,
Elizabeth
brilliant.
and Fern was really, really good because they're very, very understanding.
And well done to you.
Thank you. I feel more confident in myself with spending time with the kids.
Bye!
Bye, Lennon!
The best moment in the house was probably when we had the meal together. That was all right.
My best moments was the meal also, and also getting rid of Lennon's backup.
Can Gareth's dream of family life a la Waltons become a reality? We'll be visiting them soon to find out.
So you think you've had your work cut out for you? Let me say 2 words to you. Julie Daniels.
This is 34-year-old Julie Daniels from Wokingham. And this is her 16-year-old daughter Jade. There is also 14-year-old Cameron, 12-year-old Summer, 10-year-old Marley, 8-year-old Sunny, 6-year-old Georgia Marie, 4-year-old Tommy Lee, 2-year-old Ruby Jane, and finally Billy Joe, who's 11 months old. The kids' behaviour is especially challenging at bedtimes.
All you got to do is get in your pyjamas, lie in your bed.
The biggest issue is bedtimes with the children.
Without a shadow of a doubt, because it is just exhausting. Two middle boys are terrible for keep constantly up and down the stairs, up and down the stairs.
If she comes down and gets a drink, they all come down and get a drink, like one after another.
Tommy does not go to bed until I do, because he will not get in his own bed.
5-year-old Tommy shares a bed with mum and sister Jade.
But sometimes at night I'd just like to lie in the bed by myself and not have like 3 other children lying in there with me.
There are just 4 bedrooms between 10 of them, and 14-year-old Cameron has ADHD, so needs to sleep in a room on his own.
He can be very unpredictable at times.
Cameron be's nasty to Summer and then it just goes down from there and they're all like nasty to one another.
Mealtimes are also a problem.
They all eat at different times as well. Like if the others are, if it's nice and the middle ones are outside, then they'll be, Mum, what are we having for dinner? So then you'll do something for 2 of them maybe, and then the others will come in an hour later.
I said no, stop eating my dinner, eat your own.
One eats like in the dining room, the other eats in the front room.
It's just like a calf really, meal times in his house. You feel like shouting out a table number and delivering it. There's so many of them, you can't have them all whining, screaming, crying at the same time because there's 1 of me and 9 of them. So I think I'll just give in for the sake of peace, so at least I know they've all eaten something.
With the kids running rings around Julie, 16-year-old Jade has stepped up from being one of the kids to help her mum take control.
Jade's sort of like the other parent really. They know she means business and that's it.
They do more than what I say than my mum does because she's a soft one and I don't give in to them and she does all the time.
You get trained on the sofa.
With so many children and such a lot of responsibility, Jade doesn't have any time to herself.
It's like a totally different world when I'm in here to when I'm out with my friends because we all go to the pictures, have a laugh, and then when I'm on the way back it's just like, do I really have to go back? But there will be a time when I do leave and I think it will definitely be hard for her.
Oh my gosh. What's your reaction?
What are we going to do? You know, what does Mum want help with? Because there's so much.
But it sounds like she needs a routine and possibly maybe Jade to be let off being a parent.
Well, I mean, like Laverne, I'm kind of quite shocked actually and quite overwhelmed. Not only of what life must be like for this mum, but actually the amount that we've got to do. And I think it'd be really important to speak to Mum Julie at the beginning and say, look, what do you want to do? What do you want to focus on specifically? What is going to make the biggest difference to you and your family? And Laverne and I together, because I do think this is going to take her together, are going to be able to work on a number of things with you, but we've got to be realistic.
I have to say, to give Mum credit, she seems to have somehow, I don't know how, been bringing up these 9 children by herself.
But she's not though, is she? I mean, that's the thing. It looks as if it's her on her own. But we have to keep hearing what she's saying. Jade is right in there. And actually I was looking at Jade and I was thinking, you're 16? You're standing there in that sort of final shot with her next to Mum. And she looks like the dad, you know, and she's there saying, oh, they don't take any rubbish, you know, I don't take any rubbish off them, they do what I say. So it's not this mum bringing up these children on her own. And I think that's our in.
And here they come. As Elizabeth and Laverne take a few minutes to let it all sink in, Julie and her 9 children descend upon the house.
That is a lot of children. Well...
Okay. Tommy was scared last time, man. Obviously not anymore.
I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little scared at this point.
Whoa! He looks pig.
Look, cameras, 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 cameras.
Hold up, mate.
Yeah, but you can't touch it.
Look, the camera's full here. Woo! We're on
I
camera.
mean, this is the most children that any one family has had in our house ever. The sweets.
It's almost impossible to keep your eyes on any of them.
Yeah. Look, Cameron, there's a slide.
And Mum obviously can't because, as you can see, we've got sweet raiding, we've got people in the kitchen cupboards.
Hey, look, man.
Goodness knows where the younger children are.
And demands being placed on Mum.
You can hear it already.
huge.
Cam, please stop swearing.
It's huge. All this at night, it's all...
Right, don't keep running in and out with your shoes on, please.
My head is spinning.
Welcome to Julie's world.
Welcome, yeah, but Laverne, welcome to our world now.
Let go of it. Don't strangle him.
Fucking strangle him.
How am I?
Leave it, Tom, quick. The boogie monster's here. Oh, look, there's another double bedroom.
That's all for now from an action-packed day at the house of Tiny Tearaways. Join me tomorrow for some more tantrums, screaming and sulking. And don't worry, we'll be featuring the children as well. I made a joke. Bye.
This is our summer holiday. We didn't get to go on holiday, so we came here instead.
2 different families?
No, same, whole family.
One family? F***ing stupid.